Welcome in. This is your live chat for this week's Valero Texas Open presented by Jock Market. Over the next hour or so, we are going to talk all things Valero Texas Open, whatever you want. Ownership, weather, wind, waves, I don't know, whatever you want. Throw your questions in the chat. I'll try to get through as many as possible, and we'll do a deep dive into all the goodness. The final stop before the Masters, I'm sure that's going to come up. Get your questions in now, and do me a favor, hit the like button. That's really all I ask from you. Excuse me. Okay, let's jump into this here. But before I do, remember, there is a 8:15 power hour tonight, 8:15 p.m. Eastern time. Joe Idonia and myself getting it going for Stock Market DFS. Anthony says, sup, crew? Smash the like button. That's absolutely right. Let me turn my fan on here. All right. Let's do a breakdown of Charlie Hoffman versus Chris Kirk. This is pretty interesting. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you the cheat sheet. This is on RickRunGood.com. Everything you see available on RickRunGood.com. If you sign up for a week now, well, first of all, the Masters stuff is already up there. There's a Masters cheat sheet. There's a Masters key stat. But a week would get you through next Wednesday. You should probably just sign up for a month or 6 months or a year while you're at it. But here we go. Hoffman versus Kirk. Okay, so Charlie Hoffman, who is right here, he's $9,200 going up against Chris Kirk. First of all, Chris Kirk is $600 less expensive. I also believe he is going to come in a few percentage points lesser owned than Charlie Hoffman. So we have to look at this and say, is investing in Charlie Hoffman worth the increase in price and also the increase in ownership? Well, they both have pretty good course history, right? Charlie Hoffman has played here much more frequently, and he's probably done it with much more success. I believe he's now entering his 15th consecutive start here. And I think he's made the cut in all 14 previous. Obviously won this event in 2016. He finished runner-up in 2019. That's the last time we played this. And he's been piling up top 10 finishes there. Now, he is the class of the field when it comes to course history. Chris Kirk, however, not so bad himself. He's only played here 4 times in the last 5 years. Excuse me, I can't get this bug out of my throat. Okay, I think we're good now. With an 8th place finish in his most recent trip, that was 2018. He had another 8th place finish in 2015 and a 13th in 2016. So all that being said, we can also do one other thing and compare these guys. We can go over to the Holy Grail and we can go by tournament and we can look for, I don't know what you want to do. Maybe the 2021 season. Maybe you want to do something even more recent than that. You want to say since the start of 2021. This is just since the beginning of the year, and we can go by strokes gained total. Of course, they are 4th and 5th in this field. So they are very, very close. And with all that being said, the guy that is $600 cheaper is probably the guy, Chris Kirk. Okay. Anthony says, my bad, that was an hour early. That's okay, Anthony. Better to be an hour early than an hour late. Rick, Austin Eckroat has a 31% chance of finishing inside the top 20 according to your tourney simulator. Yeah. The reason for that, he says it would be an incredible value at 6,300, and you are absolutely right. The reason for that is Austin Eckroat only has 6 measured rounds. So keep that in mind. So actually let me see if I can find Austin Eckroat here. He had the 4 really good rounds at, what would it have been? The US Open maybe? And then let's see if I can find him. And then I think he missed the cut in his second start. So really that's the reason here. Yeah, here he is. He has 2 rounds this season. Yeah, he missed the cut at the US Open, played well at Mayakoba. That's why you're seeing that. It's just a tiny, absolutely small sample size. Denver Timmy, welcome back, says pro sports are for entertainment, and last week Kuchar and Horschel put me to sleep. What would be your favorite final day pairing? I like Higgs and Spieth. Wouldn't Spieth and Finau be pretty compelling? You'd have 2 guys trying to end spells of winless golf for quite a long time. 2 pretty popular players. I think that would be pretty good. How about yeah, that's probably the best. I mean, Chris Kirk's a great story. Getting him into a final pairing would be pretty interesting. But it's got to be. Or how about this? How about Spieth and Fowler in the final group? Because you would get Spieth, who is trying to end this winless drought. You get Ricky Fowler, who has to win to get in. So it's kind of interesting. If you're not too worried about ownership, would balanced lineups be best? Seems like there's plenty of risk or low win equity with most of the 10K guys. Yeah, so I think that with the departure of Dustin Johnson, so if you're just tuning in, DJ withdrew on Monday. So the void that he creates in the 10K range from $11,800 to now being out of this field, I think makes it a little bit easier, Hank, to go with a balanced build, because you could forego Scotty Scheffler, which I think most people are going to have a question mark about. You'd have to forego Finau and Spieth. Hideki is a pretty big question mark as well. And you could start in a 9K range that's absolutely stacked. I think there's a lot of, and you can see it in the ownership, the four guys here at the top of the nines, Corey Connors, Ryan Palmer, Cameron Tringale, and Charlie Hoffman, all looking to garner at least 17% in terms of projected ownership. I think there's going to be a lot of builds that start this way, and I think it is because it's warranted from what we've seen from the top of the board. Anthony wants to know, should I fade Masters contenders this week with Georgia on their minds? As always, I don't, I like things that are quantifiable, and being able to quantify how interested these guys are in playing this week is it's going to be difficult to do. I think that, so let me give you a couple things, Anthony, and you can kind of figure this out yourself. We have heard golfers in the past be like, you know what, I'm going to play the week before because I want to make sure my game is sharp, but I'm actually going to try to do some things that I'm going to need at Augusta National. Maybe I'm going to hit some draws that I would not normally hit at TPC San Antonio, but because I know what's coming, I want to make sure I have that dialed in, things like that. On the flip side of that is if you get into contention, if Jordan Spieth, who I'm sure would define as a contender, Anthony, gets into contention, he's trying to win. Like, especially because he hasn't won in so long, right? Once these guys get in the heat of the moment, I think they're fine. I would be slightly worried before that. Am I crazy to think Sam Burns is going to return to form? Okay, so this is a question about Sam Burns and Cam Champ, especially with low ball flight. Okay, so here we go. Let's just do this. Let's do a Sam Burns Cam Champ breakdown. And we'll start with Burns here, who, as you guys probably know, I've been bullish on for quite some time, but I think we're seeing a little bit of a concern here. Yeah, here it is. So I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to pull up his Holy Grail, which I just did, and I'm going to pull up his golfer profile, which, look at this. Look at this hero shot from Billy Horschel with the Gators hat on. How good is that? All right, I'm going to pull up Sam Burns here. So here's the issue that I have with Sam Burns. The reason I was so bullish on Sam Burns is this right here. Strokes gained off the tee from the 2020 American Express through the Farmers of this year. He was absolutely phenomenal. Probably would help if I would show you my screen. He was absolutely phenomenal. So he's gaining 3 or 4 strokes over the course of a 4-round event. And then something happens. Waste management, he was terrible with the driver. He lost at Genesis. He lost at API. He lost at the Players. The problem with that is he is, in theory, one of the best off-the-tee players on tour. Now, his rank currently is 42nd on tour. He was inside the top 20 before this recent stretch of golf. So my point, Andrew, being that it is very, very concerning when a golfer loses their best weapon. We saw it with Gary Woodland. He has not made the comeback yet. We saw it with Ricky Fowler. Still has not made the comeback yet. When a golfer loses their best weapon, no matter what part of the game there is, it is a huge red flag. It does not usually mean that the switch is going to be flipped anytime soon. So coming from someone who is incredibly volatile incredibly bullish on Sam Burns, that is scary. And then Cam Champ, I've not done a deep dive on Cam Champ in a while, so I'm actually not really sure what we're going to find here. Yeah, this is about right. This is kind of what I would have guessed. Just absolutely dominant off the tee. He is volatile with his approach game, and then the short game is horrific, right? I mean, to lose, I don't even have to add these up, but his last 7 measured tournaments, he's lost, my God, 25 strokes putting? It's just, at this point, it's too detrimental. And even his best weeks, if he can get to 0, they might not be good enough. This to me is really, really concerning. I would argue that the putter's too far gone at this point. He's going to have to make bigger changes there. Civic Boy says, "What's up, Rick? Have any positive vibes on Gligic or Chappell this week? Stay awesome. Thanks, man." Yeah, Gligic's kind of interesting, right? Because he's like 6,200. He's pretty cheap. I got to find where he is. Here he is, 6,200 bucks. So we can pull him up. And unfortunately, he's played a lot of events that don't have the shot link data. But he was in a really good stretch of golf at the end of 2020. He was making a ton of cuts in a row. He was terrible to start the new year. And then he finished fourth at Punta Cana. So while we don't know, Civic Boy, how he played at Corrales, it's at least good signs, right? I don't know if he gained 10 strokes putting or anything like that, but this is better than what we've seen as of late. And at 6,200 bucks for a guy that, outside of this recent start to 2021, had made a bunch of cuts in a row, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. And I think he's better than the other $6,200 guys. I'm not super stoked to like run out and bet him or anything like that. If you're in the middle of the pack this week, halfway through the season, when is this time? Okay, so this is a one and done question from JG. Halfway through the season, when is it time to start picking contrarian picks to make up ground? I think you can pick your spots. I think you should be doing it at more volatile places. So, for example, this week might be good because the wind's kicking up. We can talk about that in a second. The Florida swing would have been a really good time to get contrarian, because those are very volatile courses. Places you don't necessarily want to get contrarian would be Augusta National. The results year over year there are very, very consistent. Places like that, I would just try to be a little bit off the beaten track. Go with, maybe the guy that you think might be the fourth or fifth most owned golfer. And then on weeks where, we saw Matt Jones win and we saw these guys pop up at these Florida courses, and you're like, holy crap, is that what's happening now? That's when I would prefer to be much more contrarian. Is there any value to be had? Yeah. So we can actually run this. So we can run this on the head-to-head matchup tool here. I'll load that real quick. Is there any value on Cameron Tringale minus 125 versus Brendan Steele? So my heart says I love Brendan Steele in this spot. I think Steele is not only a good combination of floor, considering the fact that he's made 8 consecutive cuts in 2021, but he also has a bit of ceiling inside of him too, right? A top 5 at the Sony and a top 5 in his last start at the Honda Classic. And oh, by the way, has won this event. So all of that stuff goes into the favor of Brendan Steele. Tringale's fine. He's solid. He's gonna bank you a bunch of top 20s. But let me see if I can actually just run this and let's see what the numbers say. And I'll just do since the start of 2020, excuse me. That's the date frame I'll go with here. Oh, it's really close. So I have Tringale winning this 52% of the time to Brendan Steele's 48%. So based on the odds that you sent over, Fujo man, I would say you can't probably bet either one. I guess no, you can't bet either one of these because Tringale is only minus 108, but you're seeing him at minus 125, and Steele should be plus 108, but he's only plus 105. That's closer. It's closer to a fair bet. I don't like to bet fair bets. I like to bet the ones that I have an edge on. John Jefferson says, who's your favorite mid-tier and low-tier GPP plays? Best content in the biz. Thank you. First Cut podcast is amazing. Yeah. So if you guys don't know, I do a lot of stuff. So I obviously want you to stay here on the Rick Run Good YouTube channel, but what we're building at the First Cut podcast, which is it's the CBS Sports Golf Podcast. I host it. We do basically 6 or 7 days a week. We do a recap after every single round. What we're building over there is special, and it's a really good group of guys with a lot of great insight. So thank you, John. I appreciate that. Mid-tier and low-end GPP plays. So let's look at this. So mid-tier, I would call that kind of the 75 to 85 range. Let me look through here. Putnam certainly fits that mold. He's got, okay, so in the same way that I see guys when they lose their best aspect, that's a huge red flag. What a big green flag. Is that the opposite? A green flag would be is when golfers have success at a bunch of different types of courses. And that's what Putnam's done recently. He's got top 10s at Phoenix. I want to say Punta Cana and the API. Actually, I guess I could just look at the cheat sheet. And and see, but like those are three different sets of field strengths, three different setups. That's a really good sign. So I would say Andrew Putnam is certainly a mid-tier guy. And then if you're a course history guy, I'm not as much in this camp, but Ryan Moore's course history has been great. He's got three top 20s in the last 3 years, including a third place finish in 2019. He's been much worse recently, which has me worried, but I know a lot of people are loving horses for courses this week. Dan says, I smashed the like button. Thank you very much. Who's growing on you since Monday, and who are you souring on? Yeah, good question. So I'm probably growing a hair on Hideki. So with the latest projected ownership, I have two guys in the 10K range at 23% or more. That's Finau and it's Spieth. And Hideki is essentially the lowest projected owned guy here. He's at 9.5%. I think we have seen maybe signs of things turning around for Hideki. I don't know if I covered that on Monday's show or not. If I didn't, I can just show you really quickly here what Hideki has been doing. If I spell his name right. There we go. So this is, after he had struggled with his irons for 5 starts or so, he's starting to pick it back up. He's got to fix the driver a little bit. The putter has actually cooperated in about half of his starts, Dan. So he's probably the guy that I'm growing on as ownership came out. I would probably also then be the one to pivot off of Charlie Hoffman. I think 22% is what I project him at the moment. I think it's low. I bet he comes in higher than that. And I'm happy to pivot to a Steele, even to a Tringale, even if I have to drop down to Cam Davis. I don't think I think I'm souring. I don't want to call it souring, but certainly getting cooler on Charlie Hoffman. What's up, guys? Says Brant. Also, Phil wins this week. Just saying. I doubt that, but if he does, you heard it here first from Brant. Is going from a fade of Scheffler to crossing him out, giving up too much win equity. Surprised he's still in the field this week. Yeah, I don't know. I was, as you allude to, adolescent Yoda. I was expecting a WD from Scotty Scheffler at some point this week. It never happened. Maybe he is just, I don't know. Cocky, confident. Maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he's not tired at all. I'm worried about that. I'm worried about it. So, I don't know if you want to, I don't know how many lineups you're playing, but if you're going to cross them out, that's fine. There's other great options. Rick, what is your favorite play of the week? That really depends on what you're looking for, right? I think in a vacuum, like if you just say like, who's going to win? Probably, I hope it's Jordan Spieth. That'd be really cool. But if you're talking about, the price, everything like that, I think the answer is, hold on, let me think about this before I get too crazy. I mentioned Putnam already. I do really think that's a strong play at that price. I still kind of believe it's Brendan Steele. He has really good course history, but not as much as Hoffman. So people don't love that. And he's played just as good, if not better, than Hoffman recently. So I think it has to be Steele. Hey, Rick, great show as always. Thank you. I know you're big on Brendan Steele. Wow, perfect timing. What is his projected ownership? And if it's too high, is Lonto Griffin a good pivot? So I have him at 14%. I have Lonto at 12%. So I think they're going to be somewhat similar. So I would not say that is a pivot. Leaning Palmer in a big scale one and done. Should wind concerns move me off of this? Hey, Evan, let's talk about wind. So here is TPC San Antonio right now. This is Windfinder. Is Windfinder like the coolest website you've ever seen? I mean, I don't know much about weather, but the fact that I can zoom in on any spot, like this is literally it. This is the Oaks course. This is the Canyons course, and click and be like, oh, what's the wind there right now? What direction is it coming in off of? That's amazing. So 23 miles an hour right now. If you've heard the stories about this place can be one of the windiest places on earth. And, you look at kind of the forecast for the rest of the week. It actually does look like it's going to be better. Thursday morning, actually that'll be before they tee off. Yeah. I don't think we're going to see as much wind as we're seeing right now, Evan. Mostly 6 to 12 miles an hour over the course of the next 4 days. So I'm never going to let wind kind of make a decision for me, but I'm certainly not going to let it happen this week, Evan. It is a good question. And I love showing the wind finder. So I'm happy to do that. Jock Market. They are the sponsor of this show. I've partnered with them. They are awesome. What they're building over there in terms of stock market DFS is phenomenal. The ability to bid on golfers before the event starts and then trade them during the tournament. The metrics that they have been able to send me, it is getting more and more liquid every week. There are more and more people playing. There is a lot of money to be made because, for example, last week at Punta Cana, at Wednesday night, Joel Damon sold for $5.99 a share. He paid out the full $25 a share. You made $19 a share for every single share of Joel Damon that you owned. And look at all these guys. I mean, all of the final payouts were from guys that are basically $6 or less on Wednesday night. So I think you should join me and Joe Idoni tonight at 8:15 p.m. Eastern time, same spot, Rick Run Good YouTube channel, to talk about a jock market. And to play stock market DFS. I also think this Masters Week in the jock market is going to be massive. So if you have not played yet, now would be a good time to figure out what's going on, invest a couple of bucks, see what's happening, and then be ready to go for Masters Week instead of trying to figure it out on the fly. You can sign up with the promo code RICK20. That'll give you a $20 deposit bonus. And we're also giving away $100 on the show tonight that you can be able to get in and play around. Lakers Taylor says, hey, Rick, hope all is well. Congrats on the blue check mark. Thank you. I have been verified on Twitter officially. As of Monday, I woke up with that, or Monday or Tuesday, and I was like, oh my gosh, look at this. I'm verified on Twitter now. And guys, there are so many secrets that they give you when you're verified. The stuff that I have access to. No, I'm just kidding. It's exactly the same. It's just fun to look at. 366 loves those shirts. Is that what this is? I thought this was Jolt Gear. This is like some random company off of Amazon, but I've heard of 366. I didn't think that's what this was, but I've heard 366 is good. If 366 is out there, send me some stuff. I'll wear it. Lowest owned in the 10K tier. I have that, Chris, as Hideki, 9.5%. Technically DJ at 1%. It'll be lower than that, but someone will play DJ. But he's out this week. So Hideki is the answer to your question. Thoughts on Munoz or Vegas? Wow. Haven't talked about these guys in a while. Let's talk about Munoz. So here he is, really struggling as of late, right? The missed cut at the Players, which is fine. I can write him off for that. Doesn't make it out of his group. I don't even think he earned a point at the match play. That's what that 61st is. That's probably 0 points. Missed the cut here in 2019. I don't know. I love Munoz. I'm very, very bullish on him. He is a Flex Seal homie like myself, but that to me is concerning. And then Johnny Vegas is 7,400. He's been better. Johnny Vegas is, people don't realize, is very elite off the tee. I wish this was a course that required more distance plus accuracy. It doesn't as much, but I think there will be a bit of a lean for guys that can hit fairways. So yeah, I would probably, and I don't think I've ever said this, prefer Vegas over Munoz. It's pretty tight for me. I don't love either of them. Hit the like button, people. I agree. Daniel, call you Daniel. I don't know if we're friends enough to call you Dan. Love the content, Rick. Any love for Phil in the 7K range? No. We can talk about Phil. I have him at right here. I have him at 2.5%. So certainly not moving the needle in a big way. It's amazing. I get questions about guys in bulk. Phil's one of them. Hey, did Phil figure something out? I'm starting to maybe believe he has recently, because look at his approach game over the last couple of years, or year and a half or so. Now in the 3 out of his last 4, going back to the Farmers, okay, striking it well, short game coming around, putter coming around. Actually, Daniel, as I'm looking at this, I don't love it. I'm okay with it. It is possible that Phil is turning something around. What has he done here? Has he? Now I'm like deep in this. Now I got to do this. All right. Hasn't played here since 16. Let's see how far back this goes. Philip Mickelson. Where are you? Here he is. Yeah, this isn't great, but again, he hasn't played here since 2016. He missed the cut, 30th and 15, and a 101. That's either a withdrawal, or that's usually a withdrawal. 102 is usually a DQ. So he probably withdrew in 2014. I don't know why. So no good history to go off of, but you could make the case he is getting better. Jay Smooth, love the content, best in the biz. Thank you. Hadwin and Gordon, or Steele and Batia. I'm not sure that's close. It is Steele and Batia for me. I love Steele. I do not understand the love for Hadwin. Greg Ducharme has talked about Adam Hadwin all week this week on the First Cut podcast. I do not understand it. And then Batia, who has not played, probably flying under the radar. Very, very volatile, that kid, Akshay. But hey, 15.5 questions over under about the wins. So far under, but we'll see as we go. Okay, call me crazy, but Austin Eckroat looks like the play of the slate. Do you have any exposure at all or staying away? Austin Eckroat's really good. We have a very, very small sample size, but I think I've 6 measured rounds on him. He's very, very good, very, very young, very, very volatile, and it's a small sample. I will probably not have much exposure to him. Adam, creator of the Goldbergs, has stepped in, and he says, a couple of weeks off from my boy Doc. That's what famous people know other famous people, so this makes sense. Thoughts on Doc this weekend? Here's what we're going to do. Let's do a deep dive on Doc. I did this a couple of weeks ago and it wasn't pretty. I'm hoping it's gotten a little bit better, but I'm afraid of, it is getting better, but this is still troublesome. You know, when Doc was going really well, look at what a great ball striker he was. He was piling it up off the tee, piling it up on approach, and he was at times putting really well. Well, that putter has really let him down recently. Going back to the RSM, he has been a well below average putter on the PGA Tour, which is putting a lot more pressure on the rest of his game. The approach game's coming around. This still is a concern. Doc used to, and when I've interviewed Doc, he has told me, like, give me tight courses that demand you be in the fairway. Like I can hit any fairway. And that was absolutely true. It looks like he's not hitting as many, not gaining as many strokes off the tee. That, Adam, is a little bit concerning, but welcome back to the chat and love your show. Thank you. How important is course history this week? Yeah, it's pretty important. It is, I got to get a metric for this. I've been tinkering with one to show like what courses does course history matter, but this is a pretty consistent one. That's why you see guys that have a lot of great history here. Charlie Hoffman, Chris Kirk, Brendan Steele, those guys, it is pretty consistent. So Sean, I would say more than average. I need a one and done, says Chris. Connors or Hoffman? Probably Connors still. 0 top 10s this season in one and done. Oh, John, you're struggling, my guy. Finau is my last hope before I can turn my pick selections over to my cat. Your cat might be able to do better. Good luck with Tony Finau this week. If Spieth misses the cut this week, how will this affect his Masters stock, David? Probably not. He has been steamed all the way up from 100 to 1 to from 100 to 1 to, like, what is he now? 14. He'll be 12 by the time Thursday morning at the Masters comes around, especially if he has a good week this week. We are at fever pitch level. There's going to be a lot of people who just only bet on the Masters. They're going to look at Jordan Spieth on Monday morning, and they're going to say, wow, this guy's 14 to 1. I thought Jordan Spieth was good. Let me bet him. And that number is going to go to 12. So I don't think this impacts his stock at all. Any stat or data to review about playing a week before a major? Funny, JG. Soon. I'll have this soon. I actually am working on data sets of, like, guys on certain amounts of rest. Hey, what if he plays back-to-back weeks? What if he played 3 weeks in a row? What if they played 5 weeks in a row? What if he took 2 weeks off? Whatever. Weeks before a major. It's coming. There's a lot of stuff you got to do because it's not like, football or baseball. Like, it's a little bit easier because there's a certain number of games that everybody plays. This is a lot different. Enjoy your content, Rick. Thank you, Drew. This week, no top indicator ranks in the top 20, yet middling players have excellent course history. Why? I don't know. It's a good question. What you've said is completely true. There's not a real mold for golfers this week, which is, I don't think I've shown this yet. Where's my course key stats? Here it is. So, if you look at the regression, there is no standout stats. Normally we'd see a couple of these stats inside the top 10 and we'd be like, okay, well, we know approach is important or we know off the tee is important. This is just like anybody can have success. I'm wondering if it is because it has moved around the schedule a little bit. It hasn't always led into the Masters. I'm wondering if it just kind of gets a different, I don't know. I was going to say a different field every week, but then we get guys that play every year. It's, you know what, Drew? I don't have an answer for you. And I'd be lying to you if I made something up on the spot. Any regression for Sam Ryder? So Sam Ryder's got back-to-back top 10s. The one that we had shot link for was literally the perfect blueprint. You guys hear me talk about the blueprint all the time. Pretty sure Sam Ryder had it 2 weeks ago at Honda. Yeah, here he is at Honda. Gaining 6.5 strokes in ball striking, 5 of them coming from approach, and then being a small gainer off the tee, a small gainer around the green, a small gainer putting. This Curtis is literally the blueprint. If I could ask every single one of the guys I roster to play exactly like this, it would be so sustainable week in and week out. The problem is I don't know what he did in his runner-up at Punta Cana because there's no shot link data there. So if it's anything close to this, Curtis, I would say there's no reason to think regression is coming if he continues this, but I don't have the data to back that up. If your DFS game could be likened to a current pro golfer, who would it be? I'm starting to think I'm a bit of a Jim Herman or an Andrew Landry. Well, at least that's like, hey, you win once every 2 years and it pays for your next 2 years. I'm definitely a high risk, high reward player. I definitely lead early. Like on Friday, I'm in the lead. On Saturday, things get worse. I fail it. Maybe I'm Keegan Bradley. Maybe that's what I am. And I've had a couple of good hits, and maybe that's my major championship and my playoff win. And I'm always in it on Thursday, and I'm always in it on Friday, and I just can't close. Maybe that's who I am. Hey, Rick, great content once again. Thank you very much, Mark. I was wondering what you deem to be a better predictor of future performances, course history versus recent performance. I've run the numbers on this, and this is the $1 million question. The answer is recent performance. Recent performance is more strongly correlated to success that week than course history is. The problem is every player you ask will tell you different. I've had the luxury of talking to a lot of tour pros over the last year and a half or so, and I almost always try to ask this question, Mark, because I'm a little bit selfish, and I know that you guys care about this. They all say, yeah, no, you can just flip a switch. You get to a place where your eye fits, which I agree, but in bulk, the numbers do not back that up. I've not built my lineup yet, TJ. So I will probably. So I'm going to have a lot of Spieth exposure this week. I was able to get a bet in on him. I'm, spoiler alert, probably going to play him in the one and done. So I probably don't need to back up more exposure in the 200 with him. I will probably start in the 9K range. I've answered a couple of these, so I'm going to keep going. Yeah, so Ben-An certainly team no putt. Let's look at Ben-An recently. We have not done a deep dive on Benjamin On yet. Whoop, I got to get this. There we go. Okay. Well, Ben-An stays on brand. Players Championship, you can throw out these numbers. Almost all of this was at 17, right? Where he took a 11, put like 4 or 5 balls in the water. Remains one of the worst putters on the PGA Tour. I always forget to share my screen. Thank you very much. Remains one of the worst putters on the PGA Tour. Great ball striker. What has he done at this event? Let's look at this. Twice. Oh, he's played well here. Can't putt here. Finished 7th in 2019. I guess that's what people are interested in. I'm not that interested in it. I got to tell you, it's fine. Ben-An week to week is fine. Fade the morning wave. Any weather concerns? I didn't think so. We can look at this. So here is weather underground. And, this to me looks like it's all the same. From Thursday morning, weather, or I'm sorry, temperature, winds don't look that bad. That's through Thursday and Friday. I don't believe there's going to be weather concerns that would warrant a wave stack, but wind can get kicking up here in a hurry, and it's going to be hard to predict when. So I don't think it's worth a stack. I really like Lashley. I liked Lashley last week as well. The thing I like about him is he can get hot in a moment's notice, which is always super exciting from the $6,900 range. You have to ask yourself, in this range, do I want someone who is more likely to make the cut and finish 45th, or someone who is as likely to miss the cut as he is to finish T11? And if he finishes T11, you are in big winnings time. Sheerdog says, explain what happened to Fowler like I'm 5 years old. Mommy and daddy still love you, but they're upset with you. And they're not angry, they're just disappointed. That's what's going on with Ricky Fowler right now. But seriously, what's going on with Ricky Fowler right now is a lot of stuff. So let's look at Mr. Fowler. And I referenced him earlier saying he lost his big weapon, which was the putter. For so long, that was Ricky's strong suit. And we can scroll down here in the Holy Grail. I mean, look at all the green. Whoops. Look at all the, my mouse is going crazy. Look at all the green in this column here. And that's just all his strokes gained putting. I mean, every single week, the guy's a gainer. And all of a sudden in the last 18, let's call it 12 months, he's lost it. He's just lost the putter, which would already be a concern, Sheerdog. That would be terrible. Then you match that with the inability to hit his irons, which he's routinely losing 3-4 strokes every single tournament. His inability to find enough fairways. He's losing strokes off the tee. It is just a very On paper, I don't want to call a guy broken, right? I hate that. But like on paper, the metrics are very broken. It's tough. Smash the like button, DFS Chef. DFS Chef, we got to talk. Let's chat. And I want to come to your restaurant. Smash the like button. 7K range is packed full of goodness. We know Ryder, Moore, and Putnam are some of the good sleepers, but thoughts on Vegas and Garnett? I talked about Vegas. I'm not all that interested in Garnett this week. And I talked about those other guys. I'm probably behind on questions. I'll try to run through these a bit quicker. But I like to talk about this. Yeah, Kevin. So this is interesting. So Patton Kizzire as a dark horse. What I like about Patton Kizzire is he pops, right? Like that's what we've seen from him. And when he plays well, he racks up a ton of fantasy points. And he's going to be in a price point, usually most weeks where, hey, a top 10 is going to be huge. And he actually has the ability to go off in top 10. So I like that. Lineup simulator on Slacker. It's very dangerous. Great tool. Thanks for the info. I'm not 100% sure. I think that's the lineup builder that I shared. So fingers crossed, I'm going to have a new lineup builder out on the site for next week. It should be pretty slick. It's a long time coming. We're so close. Can we cancel the Lonto under 7K narrative? He's proving to be the truth, playing well consistently and on different kinds of courses. Yeah, we could do that. I mean, the flow chart's funny, right? And it used to be you play him under 7K, you don't play him over 7K. He's dangerous because the two things that he's best at are the ones that are super scary, approach and putting. So yeah, let's cancel it. I'll never say it again. That's not true. I'll probably say it again, but yes, we should cancel it. Cam Davis, a sneaky pick to win. That's kind of interesting, Chris, because, I've been waiting for him to get out of the Florida swing, right? Like that was the thing that was scary about him is when he starts spraying it without regard for accuracy in Florida, that is a disaster. A lot of other places, that's okay. So yeah, we're starting to get into Cam Davis season in between majors. Some of these events that we're going to go to, Rocket Mortgage, 3M, presuming Cam Davis is going to play them. I don't know if it's this week, but I think we're going to get some really good Cam Davis contending weeks in between majors now that we're going to get into the full summer here. Really hope a crazy long shot wins this week. This isn't the question, but let me see if I can just who's the craziest long shot that I think could actually win this week? How about, oh boy, these are bad. How about, Cam Percy, 6,600. Oh no, maybe it's Roger Sloan. 3 straight top 25s coming in. That might be him. Maybe it's Roger Sloan. Thoughts on Will Gordon? I'm kind of off Will Gordon. We can pull him up real quick, and then I'll try to be quicker. I just love doing this. I just like looking at all these players. So here we go. Will Gordon. Remember when he was the flavor of the month for a while? Yeah. So I guess this is better than I thought. Five cuts made in a row, played well off the tee at Honda, which is incredibly important. I'm still a little bit concerned about this column right here, which is he hasn't gained strokes on approach in 5 measured events in a row. Now he's played 2 events that we don't have the metrics for, so that's a bit hairy. I'm really concerned about this around TPC San Antonio because while strokes gained around the green was not as important as other places, it was one of the most important stats here, which would make me a little bit concerned. So I'm going to say not for me on Will Gordon, but if it works for you, have after it. From looking at Twitter and certain resources, there seems to be little focus on how well Chris Kirk is performing in 2021. Sorry. 7 of 7 missed cuts in 2020, but only 1 missed cut out of, yeah. Well, I mean, he was very candid about, he was going through alcohol abuse, depression, trying to get his game back into shape. So I think using shorter term stuff makes a lot of sense for Chris Kirk. Yeah. So I don't think Hoffman's in the field for what's his official World Golf ranking. Charlie Hoffman, official world. I don't think he's in the field. Oh yeah, he's 111, and I can't imagine he would have qualified from anything else. So yeah, I would say I'm 90% sure that Charlie Hoffman is one of the guys that has to win this week to get into the Masters. Did Joe change his jock market name? Haven't seen him on the leaderboard recently. This is either a low-key jab at Joe, or Joe did change his name, or he hasn't played. I don't know. I'll ask him tonight. That is hilarious. So this is okay. So Jason says, "Hey Rick, love your content. Thank you. You think Furyk can grab a top 25 this week?" So what's kind of interesting about Furyk, and this is weird because this is a big boy course. It's 72, par 72, 74, 50 or something like that. But a lot of the yardage comes in the par fives. There's like 2 or 3 par fives that are 600 yards. So when the yardage comes in that department, some of the shorter hitters are okay because it was going to be, nobody's going to get home in 2 on these par fives. They're all going to play it like 3 shots. And Furyk was like, well, I was going to play it as 3 shots anyway. I was going to hit my second shot to 100 yards, and then I was going to throw a dart, and it might actually play into his hand. So I actually do think Furyk's the example of shorter hitters at a big course, especially this one where all the yardage comes in the par fives, that I think could contend. And he's a grinder. We know that. One and done scenario from Tim. The last tournament of the contest, you are in the top 10. Does your drive of finding competitive edge push you to falsely guide others towards your love of Sangmoon Bay that week? Oh, you're talking about me personally. Like me coming on here being like, oh my God, Sangmoon Bay is the best player on the planet. I'm going to run a mountain one and done. And then I pull a switcheroo and I play like Xander or Rory or something like that, or like Dustin Johnson. No. I usually just tell you who I'm going to play, and that's that. And you guys would be like, Rick likes data. There's no way he would think Sangmoon Bay is a good option for this week. And also, I appreciate that you think I can move the needle that much. I don't think I can. JJ Colleen following Corey Connor's model of Monday qualifier to enter here. Please say yes. Probably not, but would be really cool. Love the new optimizer. Can you run us one more week? Yeah. So actually, when I've come on here and done the new model, that lineup that I generate has actually done pretty well. Each of the couple weeks that I've done it, I'm not prepared to do it right now. I am like this close to having every single wrinkle ironed out of it. So I'm not prepared yet, Mark. But thank you for the note. Talked about Roger Sloan. I like Roger Sloan. I like him more than Chase Seifert for sure. Can you tell me who's going to finish 1 through 6 this week? Of course I can. So here we go. It's going to be Spieth 1, Kirk 2, John Huh 3, Wallace 4, Putnam 5, Garnett 6. Can you play that lineup? Did Adam Hadwin make it into your player pool? No, I don't understand what Greg's talking about. Greg is off the rails. So he's, so let's look at Adam Hadwin because I don't know how this ever started, but there is like literally no signs that Adam Hadwin is going to play well this week. He has lost strokes on approach in, let's call it 15 of 17, something like that. The one good event. So Greg, I love Greg so much, but he pointed to the Honda Classic as like the turnaround spot for Adam Hadwin. I was like, yeah, he gained like 7.5 strokes putting. Like that's probably his best putting performance ever. Second best. Okay. He said one other, like, I don't see it. So no, I should wine wager Greg on Adam Hadwin. It's crazy. I spoke about Batia just a little bit, Corey. I like him. He's very volatile. He has a ever improving short game and an ever improving game in general. He's actually very difficult to model because of how young and raw he is, but I do like Batia. I probably prefer him in a top 20 situation. Ricky used to be the only son and his parents loved him because he was great. Now his parents are having more kids. Ricky is getting phased out of the family because he's not great anymore. Yeah, he's getting ready to leave. He leave the house. He's going to college. There's still ones at home. They're getting all the attention. I get it. Kevin Erickson, as usual, thank you very much for the super chat. It's much appreciated and certainly noticed. He says, shout out to the Run Bad Tour crew. And of course, the support to you, Rick. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much. The Run Bad Tour, I believe, is the spinoff of the Run Good Tour that is on PGA Tour 2K21, which actually now EA Sports is going to come out with their own version of this game, which is going to be kind of interesting. Let's go back up. Find my spot here. I lost my spot. Okay, I found it. Here we go. I answered a lot of these. I'm going to keep going. Is it better to be all around instead of a best approach guy on tour that ranks first in strokes gained approach? I guess it depends on how bad you are at the other stuff. If you're the best strokes gained approach guy on tour, you have a great base. That's something that is incredibly valuable. It shows up on every single hole. But ask Hideki about that. Like if you're the worst putter on tour, you're going to have some trouble. I would say so would you rather be Daniel Berger or Hideki Matsuyama? That's the question here, Drew. I'd probably rather be Berger. Berger wins, has won, right? So probably all around, but this answer really depends on how bad you are at the other categories. Is there an optimal salary on DK to target? Is this as an entire lineup or as a certain player? The optimal lineups that I tweet out every week, they're routinely leaving $1,000 or $2,000 on the table. Some weeks they're like $4,000 on the table. So I don't know exactly what this question is, but hopefully that has some insight there. Thoughts on Neesmith? Let's do another Neesmith deep dive. Because I think he made the cut again since the last time we've chatted about him. Yeah, makes the cut at Honda. Didn't play particularly well, but got it done right here. Probably chipped in a couple times. Gaining 4.5 strokes around the green. That's probably chipping in a couple of times. This is why I love Niemann. It is that he can gain anywhere between 3 and 7 strokes on approach over the course of a single week. To go back to that question we just had about approach play, that's the floor. And then you got to start to figure out how you're going to total them up in the other categories. So I think Neesmith's fine. I don't love the fact that he gained 4.5 strokes around the green and that's how he made the cut and that's how he played at the Honda, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Rick, didn't you pick Steele to win on Golf Digest, not Spieth? Yeah. I mean, they're completely different. The way that I do Golf Digest. So there is an expert panel on Golf Digest, and we're asked to do a pick to win. We're asked to do a one and done pick. We are asked to do a top 10. We're asked to do a long shot, and we're asked to do a player to fade and a tournament matchup, I believe is everything. And I don't know how others do it. It would be very easy every week to pick one of the top three golfers in the field, which I probably do a lot. Because then I could use a long shot for that guy that I like maybe in the 40s or 50s, or I think that might be a better value. But I think more than most other guys on the panel, I will, I'll take odds into consideration. So I thought the 41-1 number that I saw on Steele was better than the 12-1 number I saw on Spieth or something like that. So that's the way that I do it, Chris. Does Spieth win it more often? Of course he does. But does Steele win it enough to be worth that number? I also agree with that. So if you just remove I think Spieth is going to beat Steele, right? I don't think that's that huge of a statement, but I thought Steele was a really good bet. And then I could actually use Spieth in my one and done, which is I believe what I wrote up. And that's what I'm going to do. Oh, here we go. This is why Spieth, Kirk, Wallace, Putnam, Garnett. That's $49,000 on even. If that wins all the money, you guys have to split it with me. And all of you put it in, you have to split it with me. With ball striking being a more consistent stat and putting more volatile, how would you rank around the green stats in terms of volatility and consistency? I did a video on this a couple of weeks ago on a Saturday. It was called Why I'm #Team No Putt. Check out that video. I have the number of I have the correlation number, essentially, or the standard deviation number, for each of the 4 major categories. And I don't know off the top of my head, but I would imagine that the volatility is putting around the green, probably approach, and then off the tee. Off the tee is pretty consistent. Guys that drive the ball well tend to drive it every single round, every single week. But you can gain more on approach. So it's kind of like approach is more important. Any advantage to the KFT, Korn Ferry Tour, guys that played here last July? Ooh, Kevin? I don't know. It's a good question. I did not consider that until this moment that you brought it up. So I would say, I guess it's better than nothing. I don't know how they had it set up. The Korn Ferry Tour is usually set up in a way that is incredibly scoring friendly. I don't know if that's what we're going to see at TPC San Antonio this week. So, great question. I don't know. How's it going, Rick? Enjoy the videos and insight. I'm leaning towards great ball strikers at Valero this week with DJ out. Are you high on Sam Burns and Cam Davis to show up? I talked about Burns earlier. I'm not as excited about that. I am more excited about Cam Davis moving forward out of Florida. So I did discuss that. Also, I'm running out of questions here for like the first time ever. So I don't know if people are looking ahead to the Masters, but I've got 11 minutes if we're going to use it. If you want to talk about anything, throw it in the chat, whatever you want. Kirk or Steele, top 10 or both. Probably unlikely that both of them finish inside the top 10. Kirk is probably more consistent than Steele by a hair. So you might. No, I still think it's Steele. I still think it's Steele because if it was top 20, I'd probably prefer Kirk. If it was top 10, I think you're still on Steele. Probably unlikely that both of them do it. Let's do a Denny McCarthy deep dive. Thoughts on Denny McCarthy? Denny McCarthy has been an enigma the last 12 months or so because he was really starting to turn the corner, lost it all again. Oh, okay. So this is what we want. This is what we want from Denny. What he did at Honda, where you gain 5 strokes putting and you're a 0 in every other category, that is what he was doing around here. Sanderson. It's what he was doing around. Sorry, forgot to show my screen. It's what he was doing around Wyndham a little bit. Actually, no, he ball striked it great at Wyndham. So this is kind of the blueprint for Denny because Denny's blueprint is a lot different than everybody else's blueprint is because his is gain 5 strokes putting and be a 0 kind of everywhere else. I don't know if this is going to continue for Denny, but what I saw at Honda is definitely the best version of him that I like. Okay, now I just got a bunch of questions. Some of these I've answered though. Okay. One and done. Do I go chalk, Finau, Spieth, or dip to the next level? Connors, Answer, Palmer, Tringale. I'm sitting top 10 currently. If you're sitting in the top 10, I would probably just chalk it up. Spieth. Spieth is the guy that if they haven't used him, they're probably not using him here. Unless they're watching me right now and they really trust me. But like, I think if this momentum for Spieth builds, a lot of people are going to use him next week. Satoshi Kodaira, tell me I'm nuts. You are nuts, Chris. Are you taking any of the really old guys? I would prefer Furyk first, then Phil, then Kuchar. So actually in the order that you have there, the Kuchar stuff, how he summoned that for match play is incredible. He has still not top 10 a stroke play event since 2020 Genesis. He also just played 7 rounds in 5 days. He's also 42. He is, I don't like that. Furyk, I think, is interesting. And Phil, there's an argument to be made that he is finding a little bit of something right now. So I think that's fine. What touring pro have you interviewed that you're jonesing to talk to? Well, I mean, there's a lot, but I don't think I've ever told this story. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to tell this story. I was supposed to get a chance to interview Patrick Reed right before the incident at Torrey. And after that, his people were like, we're just going to hold off for a while. So that would have been a great interview because we would have had to ask him about it. Would have had to have asked him about what happened at Torrey Pines. Would have had to ask him about the reputation. Would have had to ask him about all that stuff. So I don't think that's happening anytime soon, but that was, it would have been perfect timing if that happened. It would have been amazing. Trying to decide between 3 guys for 2 spots, HV3 Burns or Ryder. I love Sam Burns, but I'm telling you, it's really troublesome. It's really troublesome what I'm seeing. I'd go Ryder and HV3. That's me. Are there some golfers you would only consider for showdown? Yeah, thanks, Tobias. So, I mean, guys like Sepp Straka, guys like, Keegan Bradley is a great showdown play. These super volatile guys that get out for 1 round, 2 rounds at a time. Those would be the guys. I wish I had I could run the numbers and see who the volatile guys are with standard deviation. I don't have it handy. Maybe I can whip up a tool or something like that later. Let's talk about Answer. There are a lot of questions about Answer, and I think they're warranted. Somebody earlier asked, has he submitted his application to Team No Putt yet? Yeah, look at this. I mean, just amazing on approach, which is always good to see. lost with the putter at the moment. It's usually a good sign. I would argue that's a good sign, especially because he has had stretches where he's been a really good putter and he's just lost it right now. If he can flip that switch, Steve, I actually looking at this answer a lot more than I did 5 minutes ago. What courses in Vegas do you get comped? Bruce, zero. Absolutely zero. If you know anybody, let me know. Happy to get comped. If a player caddy played alternate shot, wow. There's some good caddies out there. Who would win, it says. I don't know. I thought Paul Tesori was pretty good. Or maybe I'm misremembering that. So that would be Webb, Paul Tesori. They're a great team anyway. I don't know how good he actually is. There are some really good caddies out there. I don't know off the top of my head, but that's a great question. Favorite Office episode? Mine is Stress Relief. Okay, Kevin, let me think about this. I think Pretzel Day is good because we only get a few positive interactions between Michael and Stanley. And when they kind of team up to get Phyllis out of line, that's they high five each other in that episode. I think that's really good. Can you attend the Masters as media? Probably. I should probably look into that. I guess it's too late now. So they're still, from what I understand, I think they're still doing limited credentials. So maybe next year would probably be better, but I could probably weasel my way in. Yeah, I think so. I'm going to try to be at the PGA Championship this year. That's my goal. Be at the PGA Championship. Get a pass for that. I think I can do that. But yeah, so I'm shooting for next year, JG. Heard a lot of Roger Sloan talk. Yep. Do you think oh no, I don't, wow. Interesting. I think Roger Sloan is going to be, I have him at 10%. So maybe he does get to 15% in the single entries. Yeah, I think that's fair. Would Scheffler withdraw this late? No, I can't imagine. And if he's especially because I'm sure he's been there playing practice rounds. And if he hasn't, I would, fingers crossed, hope someone would have tweeted that out and told us that. But no, I do not believe Scheffler would withdraw this late. He should be, if he's there and he's playing, he should be good to go. AM, PM consideration, I do not believe so this week. If you have a spare minute, if you mention how you got into golf, yeah. So Mark, that's kind of right. I mean, I was doing this on the side of my full-time job where I had the data website. And then I was trying to cover 4 sports: baseball, golf, basketball, football. And it was too much. I wasn't passionate about all of them. I decided golf is where I want to be. It's what I love the most. It's what I want to do. And I want to be like the best golf guy. Like I'd rather be the best golf guy than the 150th best NBA guy or whatever. So I dove into golf and never looked back. So that's that. And I just love it. It's the best. Rick, I'm moving from Colorado to Arizona. Waste management next season. Let's do this. Yeah. So here's the thing. Once we are like back up and running with all of this, I want to go to a lot of events. I want to go everywhere. I want to be at all the fun ones, so yes, I'm jonesing for every single event. So yes, let's do it. We'll be there. What do you enjoy about golf betting versus other sports? I'll tell you really quickly, and then I'll let you guys get out of here. So here's the best part about golf. There's a couple of things. Very natural cadence to it, right? You've got round 1, pause, round 2, pause, round 3, pause. You can make bets in that time frame. You can assess your bets. You can say, oh, maybe I should hedge this. The entertainment lasts over 4 days. There is no other sport in the world, maybe not true, but there's very few sports that you can get the odds that you can get on golf in just 4 days, right? Think about a 50-1 shot or 100-1 shot winning a golf tournament. It happens regularly enough. What would you have to bet for 100-1 in any other sport? It would be a future for a really bad team to win a championship. And you'd have to wait 9 months to find out. There's just a lot of things to like about golf betting. And usually when people fire their first bet, they love it. And it's easy to follow, right? Like, what am I betting? Did the guy win? Did he finish inside the top 10? It's very easy to look at. If you're betting other sports and you're like, oh, what was the spread? It was 8.5. Okay, what was the final score? I got to go look. I got to go do the math, whatever. Like, it's pretty easy to follow. All right. I think that'll do it. Lakers, TJ says, good luck this week. Appreciate all that you do. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for stopping in. On your way out, hit the like button. Also, there is one more live chat today. It's at 8:15 p.m. Eastern time, right here on the Rick Run Good YouTube channel. It is the Jock Market Power Hour. It is all things stock market DFS. There's a ton of value to be had at the Valero this week, and then the Masters is going to be absolutely bonkers. So I highly encourage you to get in now before next week. Otherwise, see ya.